IMDb oddly has a lot of popular negative reviews for House of the Dragon, so I thought it would be fun to quickly look through some. And by quickly, I'll probably just look at a few ridiculous lines from each review because reading all of them will take a long time. I'm also sorting by featured, so it's not like I'm scouring the bottom depths of the IMDb reviewing landscape, and there seems to be a lot of people agreeing with these reviews. 5 out of 10, expensive soap opera. It carries the vibe of one of those cheap British soap operas, only without the drama. Weak acting, dull dialogue, and poor direction. That's such a low blow to House of the Dragon, holy crap. I like how they say without the drama, as if there's like utterly no conflict within the entirety of the show. Along with them saying there's weak acting, like Viserys Targaryen. I mean, just recently, Emma D'Arcy got nominated for an award in the Golden Globes. And dull dialogue? It's better than most shows. The original show also started slow, but soon found its footing after a few episodes, particularly with the death of Ned Stark. So a lot to unpack there, but I mean, he dies on episode 9, not after the first few episodes. Viserys Targaryen dies by episode 8, and that was such a great payoff moment for his entire character arc. So I would say the least, the show found its footing by that point. As a point of comparison, this guy thinks that the Book of Boba Fett is the same quality of House of the Dragon. 4 out of 10, the dragons looked great. The crew in charge of lighting must have gone on strike, cause most of the season played out in semi-darkness. One moment out of the entirety of the show, this is like a very big nitpick. And it also seemed like most of the episode had a plot for about 30 minutes of time, which caused scenes to be dragged out painfully. I guess this person's version of scenes dragging out is characters talking to each other. I don't think he realizes that that's a necessity when it comes to bringing characters to life. And supplied with fillers like 10 minutes of soft porn in episode 4. This is a part of Daemon and Rhaenyra's journey. It's like their romance in their like younger years. And 10 minutes of people dancing in episode 5. I highly doubt there's just flat out 10 minutes of people dancing. I'm sure that's an exaggeration. As for the acting, I'm not going to comment on that, since the lack of character build gave the actors very little to work with. I mean, there was a lot of character building. This person's simultaneously saying that the scenes are dragged out painfully with very little plot, which would indicate that there would be a lot of character building, but then he's simultaneously saying that there is no character building for the actors to work with. 6 out of 10. None of these characters have deep substance. To me, Viserys between the two shows has one of the deepest arcs. And most of the time we're just like unpacking the emotional baggage that Rhaenyra has to go through. 6 out of 10. Where is the political intrigue? Where is the conflict? A plot centered around a daughter's refusal to marry / being a female heir is not interesting enough to be the sole plot for 4 episodes. There needs to be additional conflict. I mean, if there was even more conflict within this season, that would be pretty freaking packed. Like, every character has a lot of shit they have to deal with. And this guy is definitely exaggerating, where obviously the first 4 episodes don't just deal with the sole plot of Rhaenyra having to marry / being a female heir. What about Rhaenyra losing her mother? Viserys having to move on very quickly, which makes it seem like he didn't really care about Rhaenyra's mother. All of her lust boiling over for the people she actually wants to love but can't. Her obligations to the throne, on top of having to marry, and so many other aspects. And this all happens in like 4 episodes, and this person wants to throw in even more conflict into this boiling over pot of chaos? It just may not have an overly engaging plot with a bunch of plot twists and complex storylines that people seem to think that if a show doesn't have that, then it's bad. 3 out of 10, a high-budget glorified soap opera. The first 5 episodes could have been packaged into 1 or 2 episodes. I like how the last person was just like, we need more conflict, and this person's like, combine everything. You know how chaotic that would be? If he thinks that nothing happened in those 5 episodes, then he's delusional. The acting is really subpar for the hype. There is no chemistry whatsoever. I mean, Matt Smith has chemistry with literally anyone. The show has reached the mid-season, and I failed to see the direction of the storyline. On one hand, you have a bunch of people complaining about it's not complex enough, but this person's failing to see the direction. I thought it was supposed to be too simple. It's a meaningless soap opera. Why is everyone saying this? Is any form of drama just a soap opera nowadays? 4 out of 10. Casting was a disaster, it seems. Not confident to go with new actors, not bold enough to put money down for great known actors. Casting was outstanding. I loved all of the characters, and they were fully realized by the actors that were portraying them. And they did go with new actors. Like, both of the actors portraying Rhaenyra were pretty much new. Same thing with young Alicent. And then not bold enough to put money down for great known actors. Like, I think Matt Smith is pretty well known at this point. Like, if anything, I'd kind of argue that he's just as popular as Sean Bean was, given that he's been in Doctor Who and Morbius. It's a mixed bag. Along with the delivery of lines, and the scenes in general come across very flat and uninteresting. People keep calling this uninteresting. Do they just want more action? They came to the dragon show but wanted more dragons, I guess. For some reason, the show blows its load in the first minute by having a dragon fly around the place with a rider on it. This person clearly hasn't seen the rest of the show because that clearly was not the show blowing its load. No character development, no characters that are relatable or likable. I wonder what was happening the entire 10 hours. Do these people just like watch these shows with like a blank expression as like they start drooling, thinking that nothing's happening? Just like dopamine fires in their brains when the dragon shows up and they start clapping? Hey, there it is. 4 out of 10. A boring soap opera. 4 out of 10. Despite half-hearted efforts to shock with sex and violence. I guess this person must have hated Game of Thrones because there's a lot more nudity and sex in Game of Thrones than there is in House of the Dragon. Tries to put a shoddy girl power veneer. Alright, I'm just gonna stop there. 3 out of 10. The casting went so wrong. Neither the characters nor the actors are likable. Damn, I didn't know people hated the cast this much. 2 out of 10. The characters are one-dimensional and there is no chemistry. This is sounding very familiar. The special effects are laughable compared to what GOT was able to pull off, even in its first season. Obviously this guy is grasping at straws that just don't exist. Just boring conversation after boring conversation. I've had to take breaks every 20 minutes. They're purely allergic to any dialogue, despite Game of Thrones having tons of it. 3 out of 10. 4 episodes in, it is as dull as Dishwasher Amateur Night Wannabe. I don't even know what that means, and I can't even attempt to unpack what it means. The main characters are uninteresting and bland, a common complaint it seems. Whilst the dialogue is about as incisive as a feather duster, at least this guy is being creative with his insults. 4 out of 10. After all the hype, they present us with long, very boring discussions and dreary exposition. I mean, there really isn't that much exposition if you think about it. No action, no excitement, just talk, talk, talk. I think this guy is outing himself as an action fanatic, which again, I don't know how he survived Game of Thrones. Young Millie struggles to enunciate her lines? What? Dragons are so yesterday, and these are not the best CGI we've seen by any means. Do they want to just replace dragons with fucking unicorns? 1 out of 10. I am very surprised at the positive reviews and can only think they are fake or misguided. The classic take of, if people disagree with me, they're obviously not true. 2 out of 10. A very, very, very bad decision to change the lead actors. Disappointed hugely. I mean, the new ones were good too. Do they want, like, Millie to play a 30 to 40-year-old woman? 1 out of 10. 4 episodes and it's nothing but a slow and boring soap opera with some soft porn. What? The traditional GOT violence and moronic dialogue. I wish they would bring up examples for the moronic dialogue, and there's really not much violence in House of the Dragon. People are just talking to each other. Oh no, they're talking. 4 out of 10. Grade for casting is a D+. Casting reflects the latest Hollywood tiresome obsession, racial quotas and affirmative action type casting. Is this guy really that mad that they made Corlys Velaryon and the other Velaryons black? Because it really wasn't that big of a deal in the show. I like how at the bottom he says, House of the Dragon deserves a rating of about 6 or 7. I rated it 4 because the inflated ratings of 10 skew the results. I'm very glad that we have integrity for reviewing. 1 out of 10. Waiting all week for one episode is such a letdown in the days of Netflix. This guy's purely just very spoiled. All the episodes besides the first have been such a snooze fest. They want Battle of the Bastards every other episode. No one is watching the show for your sorry attempt to direct porn. Like, House of the Dragon had like 3 sex scenes, which pales in comparison to the nudity in season 1. Like, within the first 3 episodes, it already has more than that. So yeah, I think that's enough for now. There's also surprisingly a lot more of these reviews, so I can easily do another one of these videos if it does well. Regardless though, thank you for watching, and I guess we can discuss further in the comments about what these people were saying.